I'm Cody Harmon. Welcome to our first gear review. So to really quick address the elephant in the room, no, I'm not turning back into a scene kid. I just have joint pain. So we're going to be doing a couple of these gear reviews while my tendonitis in my hand heals up because it's a little bit easier than all the studio time. So we're going to be talking about a couple of cool guitars we have and the pickups and stuff that we put on them. So first off, we have this really cool 1991 Les Paul Custom. That is Doug's. And this thing is really cool because it's not just a regular Les Paul, it's actually a Paul II design. So if you look at it from the side, you can see it's super skinny. And I really like this guitar because I actually find that traditional Les Pauls are super heavy, and I actually find that, like, if I kind of take my arm off it like this, it tends to run away from me. And I also find that when I try to access the upper frets on the Les Paul, a lot of times its little nub sticking out right here will block my hand quite a bit. So I actually find the slim profile to be really nice. I find I can access the whole neck really easily. It's got a much nicer weight. It kind of feels like it fits a little bit better into your body. So I really like the Paul II over the original Les Paul, but fortunately these are kind of hard to find, which is also what makes this really cool. So what Doug wanted to do was he wanted to put Pearly Gate pickups in here. And these are really cool because these are actually vintage or low output pickups. And these are not as common anymore today because these have Alnico 2 Alnico 2 magnets in them, where a lot of pickups nowadays will have Alnico 5 or ceramic. And the reason for that is when you want a higher output pickup, you gotta wind the coils around the magnet more, and when you do that, it tends to take off some of the top end and make it a punchier pickup. And sometimes you don't want to lose the top end, so you gotta have a stronger magnet. So that's why people went from Alnico 2 to Alnico 5 as the standard, or when you want a really high output really high output pickup, you gotta go to a really strong magnet like ceramic. So that's where you start to get some of the really like metal pickups. Bare Knuckle uses a lot of ceramic in their bridge pickups, so does DiMarzio. So, but again, these are Alnico 2, these are vintage low output pickups. My first impressions of them is I really like them. They're on the cleans, they're very warm, they're very, they really just do have that nice vintage sound that's kind of, you don't hear in a lot of guitars. It's very pleasant when you listen to it. I find that it's the same thing on the neck and the bridge pickup for cleans. A lot of times I actually don't like using the bridge pickup on cleans because I find that's a little bit too harsh and it really pushes the amp a little bit too hard in my opinion. But with the Alnico 2, it just has a little bit more twang, and these ones in particular are definitely have a little bit of that Texas style because some of the history of the Pearly Gates pickups is they were designed after Billy Gibbons' guitar. So they took his guitar, they kind of profiled the pickups that were in there, and they designed these pickups after them. So they have a little bit of that, what you would call like Texas sizzle in the ZZ Top tone. And like I said, just really nice, warm sounding pickups, especially with a little bit of like crunch and drive. They just kind of have the right amount of dirt. Yeah, let's go ahead and hear a couple tones and hear what this sounds like. So we'll go ahead and start on the neck pickup with some clean tones. Kind of hear it's very light, very chimey, just really pleasant on the ear. Yeah, so again, you hear even on the leads, it's very pleasant on the ears. It doesn't have any real bite or anything like that. The whole kind of range is just very nice to listen to. Oh, and I'll post the presets that I'm using, but I'm running into Axe-Fx 3 right now, and I'm running the Shiver preset, which is based off the Bogner Shiva amp, and I'm basically running that with just everything at 12 o'clock, and then they have some EQ that they've done with a 10-band EQ that I kept in there. But other than that, I tried to keep this just a pretty generic, clean tone. Yeah, so that's the neck pickup, and then I find the bridge pickup has just got a little bit more of that. It's just a little bit more twang, not too much. You can hear kind of a comparison real quick. hear it's just a little bit more twang, a little bit more bite, but neither one of them is really piercing on the ear at all. And just to kind of give you another idea, I'm going to throw a little bit of delay on there so you can just kind of hear what the leads sound like. Again, you can kind of hear it's just very pleasant. There's really not a lot of harshness in there, and it just makes a really good clean tone. So let's go ahead and turn this up a little bit, and we'll go ahead and kick this on the lead. So again, still the same preset. This is the shiver amp, and this is just the lead channel. Again, turned everything up to 12 o'clock, just kind of keep it very standard, and I do still have the EQing that they did on there, but again, I'm going to post the preset so you can take a look at that. And the only difference is I did add a little bit of reverb on here, just because with that crunchier tone, it's just a little bit more, the reverb helps it out just a little bit more. I'll go ahead and start on the bridge pickup, this one. Yeah, so you can hear that it's got a little bit of that crunch. It's really just got a nice, warm, punchy tone. I don't find it abrasive on the ear at all. It's actually, as far as that, not a super high gain tone, but not a clean tone, just in that in the middle space. It's one of my favorite tones that I've seen so far. It's just a really great, punchy, bridge pickup on there with just a little bit of bite. So let's check out the neck pickup now, just to get an idea of what that sounds like. Again, you can still, it's got that nice punch, it's got that crunch and everything like that, but it's just it has a little bit of a backed off feeling compared to the bridge pickup. So it's just like a little bit rounder. It just doesn't hit the ear quite as hard. It's I like it for doing some of the leads on the crunch a little bit more when it's on the neck pickup. But yeah, for this pickup, even on the bridge, I still like the leads. It's just doesn't hit too hard. I find with higher output pickups, especially when I go up to the higher range, I really find I need to go to the neck pickup just because I find that the bridge is just, it's got too much. It almost, it's, I don't want to say ice picky, but it can almost hit the ear a little bit too hard for some of the higher notes, and that's just my personal preference. That's why I like to switch to the neck pickup for hitting leads in the higher part. But for this guitar, I just find I don't really need to, but if I do switch to the neck pickup anyways, it's just a little... just a real smooth, very smooth tone. And it's just very pleasant. So far, one of my actual favorite setups right now. I built a couple of other guitars, and we're testing a whole bunch of different pickups right now, but I was very impressed with this overall setup. I actually just find it's with this, with the Poly body, with the slimmer profile, it's a really easy to play guitar. And then I found with the Pearly Gates, the pickups in here, just really nice, warm, just kind of rock tones, Yeah, so you get some of the classic rock tones, a little bit of like the southern grizzle and stuff in there, and it seems like a pretty versatile pickup. So the only thing that I noticed is whenever I tried to do this in an even higher gain environment, like with an EVH amp or a Recto model or something like that, just a higher gain amp, I did find it sounded a little bit muddy if I didn't use like an input boost or a drive pedal or something before the amp and the signal chain to kind of pick up the signal a little bit, just because this is a lower output set of pickups. But that was really the only thing, but I think you can fix that if you used a drive pedal or something like that in your signal chain to just kind of kick it up from low output to a higher output pickup. So that was I don't even want to call it a complaint, but it's just something that you would have to take into account if you were wanting to use this in a higher gain amp. May not even be a problem for you if you're, depending on the amp, because I've tried a couple different amp models and some of them were just perfectly fine, but they usually had a drive pedal or something like that in there. Or they, you could go into the amp model and put an input boost or something in there. The ones that were set up like that were great as is, but that's just something that I thought was something to take into consideration, is if you're looking at these more vintage tones and you do have a high gain amp, like one that's commonly used for metal or something, it may not quite have the tone that you're used to. So that was my only real, I don't even call it drawback, but just thing I would comment on, just because I really do love the overall feel and tone of these pickups. Oh, one other thing I want to comment on is that they're very responsive. I find that whenever I do like a little bit of light picking, like, versus if I give it a little bit more like that's a pretty extreme example, not a great tone on that, but you can kind of hear that it really does, like when you pick softer and when you pick heavier, it really is very expressive on that. It's just very, very dynamic. I think that's one of the popular things about these older style, or I shouldn't say older, but with the more vintage tones, the lower output stuff, is they're really warm and responsive. So I think that's kind of the appeal of having a lower output style pickup. Yeah, so overall, I really would recommend trying these pickups if you're looking for that kind of a little bit crunchier, a little bit more of the Texas Sizzle, ZZ Top kind of sound, or even if you just really want some very nice cleans. These are really, really good pickups for that. And again, if you happen to have a Paul 2 laying around, I definitely would throw them in there. But if you also have a Les Paul or something like that, certainly worth checking out. Addendum. So I was playing around a little bit more, and I found out that when I put a compressor on the crunchier tone, it actually gets pretty tight. And I found I was actually able to play some more progressive guitar riffs, which I thought was pretty cool. Resolve that. But yeah, I was really impressed that just that little bit of extra compression really kind of tightened it up and allowed me to play some stuff I didn't think I'd be able to play on it before, just because it wasn't bad, but it was a little bit muddier when I try to play really, I guess I would describe it as tight riffs. But yeah, just wanted to throw that in because I thought that was actually a pretty cool final tone that I was able to get out of this guitar. But so we got a couple more gear review videos coming up. We're going to have some studio stuff coming up, and we actually have some fun announcements that we should be making soon. So don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.